Hello, everyone. We're about to do a deep dig into why Nvidia shares are falling today. Joining us now is Shia Sizzle, founder and president of Banana Capital Management. Thanks for joining us, Shia. It's great to hear from you. Let's talk about Nvidia. It's pulled back. It hit a new high yesterday, but it's pulled back some. What's your outlook for NVIDIA for the balance of the year? Well, I think a pullback is healthy in the stock right now. Obviously, it's had a lot of momentum. It's run up quite a bit. Its valuation is getting a little frothy, but that's also based on estimates which have been way off to begin with them. But I do think it's healthy to see the stock pull back after it split. You saw a lot of the retail market get into the stock, pushing it further for the rest of the year. I anticipate that it will kind of take a breather right here, and then it will continue its momentum upwards as long as it continues to report very strong earnings as it has. And there's no reason to believe that that's not going to be the case going forward. Yeah, I thought the same thing. It seems like kind of healthy reaction to where the trajectory Nvidia has been on to take pause, especially you said over some notes that help kind of frame this historically. I see you as you go through this day to day. You forget some of the history behind it. For example, Nvidia's market cap was $754 billion last year, and now it's so much higher. It's been like a rocket since last year. But they keep making chips even though many say the demand is higher than the supply. With shares rising by an amazing 25,000 over the last 10 years, it's not surprising that the company relies on stock splits to keep its stock price reasonable for individual investors who may not have access to fractional shares. It's even better that the split didn't affect Nvidia's $3 trillion market cap. The company added an extra trillion to its value in just a few months. This made many Wall Street analysts reaffirm their bullish view on Nvidia stock despite its recent drop and raise their price targets after the stock split. For example, Jim Keller from August Research raised his price target on Nvidia stock to $150 from $110, which means the stock could go up nearly 20% from where it is trading now. Vivek Arya of Bank of America is also bullish on Nvidia stock. He has a $150 price target on the stock and even thinks that Nvidia stock is undervalued. In today's video, we'll talk about why the analysts made this call and why investors should buy more Nvidia shares like crazy. But before we do that, if you want to stay up to date on the latest news about the stock market and Nvidia, you can follow our Twitter account. We post about the biggest changes and catalysts several times a day, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest posts. Now let's go back to today's video. Before we talk a little more about the next layer or leg, do you think there's some investor psychology at play here? Do you think there's some buying fatigue? For example, when you look at Nvidia's current profit margins, could that be a reason why some people are selling? Personally, I wouldn't sell the stock here. I think this is a long-term play. If you are somebody who wants to hold a stock for the long term, not everybody does. Some people just want to trade it on momentum and opportunity. If you're a long-term player, I think you hold the stock and take advantage of a downturn, so like today, to buy on weakness. Now that said, I think that it's going to be almost impossible for NVIDIA to continue to grow at the pace that's been growing. I saw another analyst on another network point out, and I think it's a valid point, that if you were to go backwards a year and look at what the PE should have been for NVIDIA, if we'd have got the earnings right, it would have been like 6 a year ago, but it also grew its earnings 2,000%. And so if you want to look at its current PE, which is about 50 on forward earnings, and say, well, maybe that is not accurate because they're going to do better than that. In order to get to a place where you have to think the stock is cheap, you'd have to assume that it would continue growing at the same rapid rate. And I don't think that is going to be the case. But I also think that we should not be throwing away a stock that is likely to continue to grow over 100% year over year for multiple years in the future. According to the Argus analyst, he raised his price goal because of Nvidia's amazing performance in the previous fiscal year, and he thinks the company is set up for continued growth into the next year as well. He also thinks that Nvidia stock has a lot more to go because of its position in transformative AI technology. What's even better is that he ended his note by saying that he recommends starting or adding to positions in Nvidia's stock, and that he thinks most tech investors should own Nvidia in this age of deep learning AI and GPU-driven application acceleration. In the meantime, A recent CNBC interview with a Bank of America analyst said that he doesn't see any signs of a slowdown for the chipmaker. In fact, the analyst argued that Nvidia is very likely to maintain a huge lead in the AI race over the coming years. Bank of America expects Nvidia to maintain its 80% market share. The analyst said that this is normal in the tech world, whether it's social e-commerce operating systems or AI, and he thinks it will be no different in AI. He also said that some people compare Nvidia's amazing run to the doom boom, which he said was a big mistake. Let's look at what he had to say and talk about whether Nvidia stock is a buy after its drop. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Investocracy. I own Nvidia stock. As the week comes to a close, under pressure, it is down 4% again, but our next guest just raised his price. Goal for the stock for the fifth time this year, this time from 125 to 160. Let's bring in Ben R.S., Head of Technology Study at Melis Study. Ben, happy Friday. On the other 2-3 trillion stocks in the market right now had to go through these transition periods, most recently for Apple from iPod to iPhone, from Microsoft from Windows to being a productivity company overall. What's the transition that you think Nvidia can make to maintain and grow this 3 trillion market cap to 4? Well, I think that they're the closest thing to nailing it in AI so far, obviously by creating an ecosystem that developers love and they know they can be really relied upon to grow. And that's a really big thing. We are at a paradigm shift. And this is the Microsoft and Apple of those past regimes all combined into one in Nvidia. And that's what you really have to think about. And really just starting, so they may have the most runway of all the big ones, but what they need to do is transition more to software, which we're going to see. And also, I think what's really cool, and we wrote about this today, is they could generate over $270 billion in cash over the next 3 years. And nobody talks about that. That's something that can come back to shareholders and really keep the multiple pretty high for a long time. So we like what we're seeing, but eventually people are going to be talking about this massive cash pile. Vivek Arya of Bank of America recently said that we are in the second year of what will likely be a 3 to 5 year deployment cycle for generative AI. This is why he's still very optimistic about Nvidia stock, and many people want to compare it to the dot-com boom, but that's not right. The expert said that mistake was caused by debt, while some of the world's biggest companies with very healthy balance sheets are spending money in the AI cycle. He also talked about how some critics believe Nvidia stock is too expensive and why he didn't agree. The analyst said that the S&P 500 is trading at about 2 times earnings growth, but Nvidia is trading at less than 1 times earnings growth. This is one reason to buy Nvidia stock on the current dip, but it's not the only one. Let's look at why Nvidia stock is still a great investment opportunity. But first, thank you for watching this far. These videos take a lot of work and time to make, so if you like them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow. Amazon and Microsoft. How many megacaps are we going to get or maintain out of the AI revolution? Well, we're not sure. Right now, we still think, obviously, software has had a few good days, but Nvidia is doing something amazing here. They are creating AI factories, which is really code for software factories, and their output is software. A lot of folks are looking for the second one. Broadcom's in a really good spot with the capex for the custom silicon, so they're probably the closest one in terms of thinking about who can be next. And then AMD is the dark horse here on the hard side. You worth the investment and could continue rewarding investors as it saws higher over time. But what do you think about Nvidia stock? Is it a buy at the current price? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to tell us what your valuation for Nvidia is. If you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.